What's going on, y'all? Decided to make another video since I got a lot of pretty decent feedback on the first one on the S13 with the mirror install. Um, I don't have any parts to install right now. I actually did order some seats, but they're not here yet, and it's also super cold outside, and I really don't feel like being in the garage for more than like 30 minutes. So I decided to do like a kind of build documentation of the S13 from when I bought it to where it is now, kind of a narration, post all the pictures, the videos I have of it, everything I've done to it from the beginning, from when I bought it about a year ago now, it's been. So, yeah, nothing installing or doing anything crazy to the car, just kind of where I started to where I'm at now. So, yeah, see how that goes. So I guess I'll start with how I got into these cars to begin with, S13s at least. I guess it was 2011, 2010. I was hanging out with a buddy, a new friend actually, and just hanging out at his house. We met through cars. We were just playing video games, looking at YouTube videos and stuff. And he's like, "Hey, like check this out." And he showed me a drifting video of drifting in Japan at Ebisu. It was a Drift Matsuri video, and I saw it and I was immediately like, what is this? What am I watching? What are these cars? And I remember from the video seeing one specific car, and it was an S13 hatch, a black one. I'll see if I can find like a little screenshot of it. But I remember seeing that car and being like, man, I want one of those. And at the time I had a 94 Camaro Z28, and I was all about drag racing, going fast, straight line, all that stuff. But I've slid it around before. And I guess he was like, this is drifting. This is what they do in Japan. I was like, I've done this before, like in the turnaround, like going under the highway and stuff. And safe to say, a week later, I traded my Camaro for my first S13. And I have a picture of me pulling up right after I bought it, pulled up to my buddy's house, smiling like I just got this car. He was like, dude, like, yes. And ever since then, it completely ruined me. But also completely changed my life because I met all the friends I have now because of this one car and getting into these cars. And from there, it just spiraled. I had that one for a while, traded it because I wanted something different, better. And I think, and I'll go through post all the pictures of the S chassis I've had. Never had an S14, all S13s. All different colors, different kinds, different motors. And now I'm on number 10. This is S13 number 10. But my last one I had sold, I want to say in 2019. And I sold it because that's when I really was getting into drifting, really progressing as a driver, and I wanted something with more power. And I had thought about LS swapping that S13 I had at the time. But I couldn't justify the costs of the LS swap. So I decided to just sell the car and put a down payment down on a Corvette, which became my new drift car, and which is right there, that Corvette. But it's been my drift car. I still have that car. You see it in the background of everything, the purple car. I've built that to where it is now, which is just a crazy low cool car, and I love that thing. I'll never get rid of it, and it's almost paid off. But that's something about an S chassis, an S13, and people who have one know, like, it's hard to match that kind of feeling that car gives you driving. The way it handles, the way they smell inside, the way they sound. There's just something about those cars that keeps you coming back to them. And I drove a good friend of mine, Boone's car, at an event last year, and it completely ruined me. As soon as I drove it, got it on track, and was going around, I was like, I need another one. And I just began looking again. And I've always been real partial to black S13 hatches. Hatchbacks have always been my thing. I like hatchbacks. I know a lot of people think coupes look better. Hatches are my thing. I love hatches. And black ones I think just look awesome. But I've never had a factory black car. The past two cars I've had have been painted black, not a factory KH3 Nissan Super Black. So I remember going to a dyno day. Martin from RS Enthalpy had came down to San Antonio, done a dyno day. One of my buddies was getting his car dynoed. So I went by to go hang out, check it out, watch it, see how much power it made and stuff, and just hang out with car people. And a buddy of mine, Emilio,
I was like, Emilio!
pulled up in a black S13 hatch, SR swap, really clean car, and I saw it and I was like, damn, like, I want that thing. And never really thought anything else about it. A couple years later, after I drive Boone's car, Emilio happens to post that he's looking to sell the rolling shell of that black car. And talked to them for a while. He had someone that was interested, and I was like, damn, well, if they bail out, let me know. And I somehow had the money at the time for that car, and waited like a week, and he was like, hey, like, they haven't come through, the car's still here, like, it's you have dibs. And I was like, sold, I'll take it. And went and picked it up, and it's a very clean shell. I think by, at least by today's standards, I paid way more than I thought I would pay for an S13, let alone one without a motor or trans or anything. But I guess nowadays it's considered a pretty clean car. I had an S14 SR in it. I believe he took it out to put in his other car, and he barely drove the car as it is. And it turned out the car's kind of been around Texas for a little while, been in a couple of people's hands that have been in the scene for a long time, but no one's really ever used the car or really driven it at all. It's kind of always been used as a parts car, or just like something for someone to use a part out of it and then sell it off to the next person. Someone uses something out of it, sell it on to the next person. Emilio kind of put it back together from that, drove it a couple times, I think he said, and then never really drove it again. And it sat at his parents' house in the driveway for years until I got it, and I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna bring this thing back to life. I guess at one point it even had an LS swap in it, but never really drove with it, which is crazy. So as soon as I got the car home, of course, the first thing I do is I order Type X tail lights. And they are definitely not the prices that they used to be. And it really hurt to spend as much as the amount that they are now. But I mean, you have to have them when you have a hatch. You have to have Type X tails. That's like a given. And of course, like 6 months later, they released and Juku came out with, I forgot what brand they are. Like I guess, I don't know if they're J-Replace or what they are, but they're like a knockoff Type X tail light that are LED. So if I would have known that, I probably would have bought those, but I didn't know they were coming out with those. So OEM Type X tails, the whole shebang. Also, when I got the car, it didn't have a steering wheel. Or it did have one, but Emilio couldn't find the steering wheel that was in it. I think he had said it was a Sparco. So he ended up giving me a Nardi Classic with the car, which is what I was already planning on putting in the car. So that was awesome. So I installed that, put that on. The car also came with the OEM Type X front bumper on it. It's in a little rough shape, but it still works. And it has the signals and everything that are wired up, which is nice, all the lights. So I ordered a dorky front lip for that, of course, before looking at anything else. I'm buying all this stuff that doesn't matter. So get the front lip and have it hanging out there, of course. And then I start looking around for a motor. And prices are honestly ridiculous nowadays. An SR swap is like $6,000. But I really wanted a KA swap. Always wanted to do a turbo KA, thought it'd be cool, make some fun power. But I could not find a KA that was less than like $2,000. It was ridiculous. And I couldn't justify spending that amount on a high mile, leaky, trashed KA. So I was trying to weigh all my options. I didn't know what to find or which route to go. Also trying not to spend a ton of money yet. I just want the car running and driving. So I ended up coming across an NA S13 SR swap on Marketplace, of course. And it seemed weird at first, but it was an old guy that had the swap. Talking with him, he had it imported through an importer. I think it was JGY, like real like old school back in the day. And he had got the swap for his MGB, which is pretty cool. And he said he was going to swap it in, never got around to the project, sold the car, and just had the motor sitting in his garage on the pallet it showed up on for like the last 10 years. And I was like, oh wow. He's like, yeah, it's got like around 30,000 miles on it, something like that. I don't know exactly how many miles it has, but it was seeing that it was just imported and then sat on the pallet was good enough for me. And I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna go NASR. And I ended up getting, I think, the motor, trans, harness, the complete swap for $1,500, which I was like, okay, that'll work. So picked that up with my buddy, brought it back to the house. The only thing I saw that was missing off it was a distributor, which at the time I didn't think anything of it. But got the motor home, cleaned it up, pressure washed it. Actually looked pretty good. Looked like the motor wasn't even caked with grime or oil or anything, like it hadn't really been leaking, which is really nice. Ended up becoming a pain in the butt trying to find a NASR S13 distributor for it. I was finding S14 ones everywhere. Finally ended up finding an S13 distributor on Kruber. Had that come in, put it in, it was the right one. Was missing like radiator, transmission cross member, clutch fan, and shroud. Ended up picking all that up from Emilio. He had those extra parts. So bought all that from him. Got the motor all washed up. So then pulled the car out, pressure washed the engine bay, and decided to rattle can paint it like a nice glossy black. I'd never done that with any of my cars before. I was kind of just like drive it and don't even care. But this one, I kind of want to try to do everything kind of the right way. So pressure washed the engine bay, cleaned it out, and painted it. Came out a lot better than I thought it was going to come out, actually. Was trying to get it as ready as I could for the motor to go in. The engine still had the original clutch on it. So I ended up ordering a competition clutch through Injuku, the whole kit. They ended up upgrading me to the 6-puck because they were back ordered on the full face, which isn't exactly what I wanted. So I have a 6-puck now on a NASR, but clutch works fine. It's a little chattery, but no big deal. And then yeah, I got the whole motor like on the ground ready to swap in. And I always like jump around and order different stuff I don't need at the time. So I came across a really cool old like mid 2000s era Sony head unit. I really want that like kind of old school like early 2000s vibe with the interior, and I'm very, very particular on my interiors. So I ordered that head unit, had it come in, and it was old, so I polished up the face of it, got it looking like almost brand new. Came out super good. And yeah, had that ready to go, and then I was finally ready to swap the motor in. So I actually got the motor set in there and mounted in probably like hour and a half. Super easy. Went in like butter, especially without having to worry about turbo manifold, turbo, and all that stuff. Got the motor in. First thing was getting the harness on. I had to extend a few wires. I think I extended the coil, the MAF, and the O2 sensor, and maybe something else. But yeah, since as the original right-hand drive harness, I had to extend a few things to get it to work. And I'm kind of a cheap ass, and I didn't want to order a wiring specialties harness yet. So I was like, I'm gonna make this one work. So I got it in there. It looks decent enough. I cleaned up the harness with soap and water and tried to make it look not dirty. So I wanted the engine to look really clean while it was in there. My girlfriend was nice enough to paint the factory manifold heat shield for me, and that's probably the best looking thing in the engine bay. So she like killed it on that. And every time I open the hood, people look at that and they're like, damn, that thing looks brand new. And I'm like, well, basically, yeah, she painted it and she did a really good job. So thanks, hun, for that. So I got the motor all set in, everything hooked up, ready to go. And got it to crank and wouldn't start. I gave it a spritz of brake cleaner in the throttle body, and it fired for a second. So I was like, oh, fuel problem. So I ended up having a whole bunch of fuel leaks in the back. The fuel pump was junk, so I took that out, replaced it. Put it back in, still wasn't kicking on for some reason, even though I tested it. And it turned out the top hat wiring was kind of wonky. So took that out, took it over to Yoy, had Justin look at it, and he kind of fiddled with it and resoldered some things and got it to work. So I put that back in, and fuel pump kicks on, so it's working, but the car still won't run. So I checked timing. Timing looks good. Lined everything up with the cam, with the distributor. It'll fire with brake fluid and kind of run. And then I finally got it to run, but it was running terribly and misfiring. I had no idea what was going on. And so I pulled the valve cover to look at things and was turning it over with the valve cover off and noticed the cams weren't getting oil. Okay. Like there was no oil getting to the head at all. Everything was dry. I was like, terrific, no oil pressure. So I pulled the lower pan, and it's gross in there. It's completely caked up, gunked up, sludge. The motor hadn't been taken care of. I checked the pickup to make sure nothing was clogging it, which the pickup was actually clean. So there went that idea for no oil pressure. And so at that point I was kind of, also pulled off the oil squirters over the cams, cleaned those, didn't make a difference, still no oil to the cams. So at that point I was kind of lost, because even without the oil pressure the motor still wouldn't run right. I got it to run for maybe 5 or 10 seconds and it was just misfiring and wanted to die, and it sounded awful. I think I have a video of it. So I was kind of over it, getting frustrated, so I decided just to send it over to Yoy and have Justin look at it, and I just dropped it off and I was like, hey, like, no rush really, like, let me know when you get to it, and like figure it out and whatever. I just want to pick it up running because I'm over trying to diagnose it in the garage. So at that point the car like just left me and went over to hang out at the shop for a while. So they finally get to the car at the shop. They're super busy out there. So Justin and Matt finally take a look at it and they confirm, like, yeah, dude, like, you got no oil pressure. Justin says he's got a brand new OEM oil pump there. So do I want to install that or put that on? I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's go for it. Might as well make the motor fresh. Installs that. While he's disassembling the motor, he notices I have a couple of seized lifters, which would likely explain why the motor was misfiring so bad. So of course he has a ton of extra parts there, so he's like, no, I got you, like, we'll put a couple lifters in it. And while the motor's disassembled, he cleans up the head, gets all the carbon out of there, makes it look brand new.
Bro, maybe after we clean this thing up, we might get a little bit of that power back.
Gets the motor all back together, puts it back in. I think they try to fire it up, and I have I think 1 or 2 dead injectors, of course, because of the original injectors. So they send them off to get flow tested and cleaned. Finally get them back in there, and I'm there when the injectors show up at the shop hanging out. So I got to see the first fire up of the motor with it running right. and got to take it for a quick test drive there, which made me feel something I haven't felt in a long time with those cars. I had gone, this is the first time I had gone years without having an S chassis. So being able to take it for a drive made me all happy. I think TJ snapped a picture of me that reminded me of the first S13 I had got. It looked very familiar. So that was pretty fun. So motor's good, everything's checks out. So I pay the man, get the car back to the house, and now it's getting the car ready for the road, really. It hasn't been on the road in years, so I get to start, now that the motor's running, I don't have to stress about that, so I can start working on the other little things. So the first thing I do is I remove the cluster because it looks like crap. So take it out, take off the lens, clean and polish the plastic lens. Comes out looking amazing, better than I thought. Didn't really know what I was doing. It was the first time I'd done it, but it came out great. Polished it up, got new LED lights for the cluster, got a nice carbon fiber like cluster gauge surround for it to make it look a little spicy, and got that all put back in the car, and it made a crazy difference of how it looked in the interior, because like I said, I'm real particular with my interiors. Also was able to find, I forgot who originally made it from Japan. They used to sell them. I remember I bought my original one on Zilvia, but the key ring, or the ignition key lights that goes around the ignition, it's like a LED light. Was able to find one on eBay, and ordered that, put a pink light in it, kind of reminiscent of my old hatch. Installed that just for that little extra touch. And after worrying about things and messing with things that didn't even affect the way the car drives, the car didn't have an exhaust. And I was having a time trying to find an exhaust I liked for the car. I didn't want anything too basic and off, like everyone has, because I want the car to be a little different. Trying to find something cool online, like a Tanabe or something, discontinued. And my buddy hit me up and said he's gonna sell the exhaust off his hatch because it's too quiet. I was like, too quiet's perfect because I don't want loud. So he ends up selling me a Velside catback that came off his hatch, which looks super awesome. It actually fits perfect the styling I want. And since it's an NA motor, I don't want it too loud anyways. So with the stock manifold, stock cat, and the Velside catback, it sounds perfect. I think I'll put a sound clip in. And while I install the exhaust, I also install some rear valence I ordered. It was a Dorky Dory Type X rear valence. Probably about the best fitting valence you can get without going OEM, and I'm not trying to pay OEM prices right now if I can avoid it. So installed that, fit perfect. All the factory mounting points went up and mounted real nice. So installed that with the exhaust and decided to take it for its first drive to the gas station, kind of feel it out. And the car honestly drove terrible. It's got the original, or not the original, but the old dry rotted tires that have been sitting on there. I'm pretty sure the wheels weren't balanced, so it just did not feel great. So and also had a rumbling in the front from a bad wheel bearing, which was awesome. So that showed me like, okay, like definitely need to get some tires on this thing. So I luckily it's around Black Friday, so I order some Gramlite knockoffs that actually look really, really good, and some tires, some Acceleras from Tire Streets. Got a crazy Black Friday deal. I think I got the tires for like $200 for all four, and I got the wheels for like 500 and something bucks. So like less than $800 all in on brand new wheels and tires. It was perfect, and they fit amazing. 17 by 9 plus 28, I think, all around. So for stock body, fits perfect. They actually look a lot better than I thought, so I'll probably be keeping them for a while. And I like to try to build the car in sections, at least every car I do. So I was already started on the interior doing all the other little things. So I decided to order Yashio Factory shift knob, e-brake button, and shift boot. Yeah. And actually had ordered that a little while ago, but it took a while to get here because it came straight from Japan, from Yashio Factory. So that was cool. That finally came in, installed all that, and it was just those little bits that when they all come together, the interior looks so good. And I was super happy with that. I've put those same things in like my past 2 cars. It's kind of like my little like calling card. I have to always put that in all my cars now. So got that in, installed a subwoofer in the back because I have to have a good sound system, of course, and the S13 sounds amazing with the subwoofer. Had to find an OEM intake tube because the one I had was an S14 one and didn't really fit right, and I just wanted it to look right. So luckily my buddy Mike, for some strange reason, had an OEM S13 NASR intake tube. So bought that off him, installed that, repainted it, looks great. And I want to start driving the car around more, and it drove like crap, especially after messing with the coilovers when I got the wheels and tires on and lowering it and doing all that stuff. The alignment was completely all wonky. So I installed some cheap rear arms just to be able to get it on the alignment rack and get it right. Like Godspeed arms, I think I bought, and then some other like camber arms are the ones that were in the trunk when I got the car. But they did the job. So took it over to Yoi, had them align it, and the car drives amazing. Like, I was really surprised at how straight it was on the highway. I think I was going like, I took it up to like 80, 90 on the highway, let go of the steering wheel, and the car was driving almost dead straight. Like, it was insane. And I have bad rack bushings, and it was still driving good. So that's on the list of things to do. So that pretty much brings us to where the car is at now. I've been driving it around on the weekends and sometimes to work. I put those mirrors on. That was the last thing to come in. And trying to finish off the interior, and the main thing was the seats, which I've been having a hell of a time trying to find seats I like that aren't crazy priced. And I finally found some. I finally ordered them. So as of now, they just shipped out today. So I have also got a passenger seat bracket. I need to find a driver one. That might be kind of hard. But hopefully, once those come in... Hey, stop scratching. Dog. So hopefully, when those seats come in and I get a bracket, I can do a little unboxing and install video. And it'll really like tie the interior together and look awesome. So yeah, that's where we're at now. If y'all keep liking this stuff, I'll keep posting progress videos of it. If you have any ideas for things you want to see, I can go through history of all the cars. I have like 50 cars. Maybe do a history of all my cars video, or maybe go over that stupid purple car that's in my garage. Go over that car and where we started with that and where it's at now. Let me know. But I appreciate anyone who watches this. I know, just starting to do this, still trying to get comfortable with it, but I've had a lot of good support from all my friends, my girlfriend, family, and stuff. So subscribe, like it, let me know what y'all think. Follow me on Instagram. If you don't like my car, let me know. Talk some shit to me. It's fun. That's why my name's Keyboard Cowboy. I like the shit talking. But at the end of the day, it's all fun. So yeah, appreciate y'all. See y'all later.